I'm one of them dark-skinned people who took offense to all you gotta do is find a family full of dark-skinned, insecure dark-skinned women. Hey, cause how the fuck did dark skin get in this? Like, what the fuck we do? I see all you gotta do is find a family full of insecure women because they come in light skin form too. Like, I know plenty insecure light skinned women. I know a light skinned woman right now dating a pedophile, had 3 kids by him. It was known that he was a rapist before she laid down and got pregnant with him. She said that girl lying on him. She believed her man.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I don't know if you guys heard the news about this beautiful little baby girl who went missing earlier this year, or maybe like a little bit last year. And the story is there's this unambiguous black woman who is with this exotical looking male, and they're saying that she only got with him because of his looks, and that he only got with her because he targets unambiguous, overweight, dark-skinned black women because he believes they have a lower self-esteem so that he can have access to their children. And the mother, she would say like disparaging things, like the little girl, she's adorable. But she was more like a light skin, maybe a caramel to some, and they're saying she had 4C hair. So even though she's clearly a gorgeous little girl, they would make disparaging comments about her looks and try to like degrade her, even though she's literally just a child. So I think that they were aware that she was beautiful. They were 100% aware that this man was a predator long before. And I believe that this woman is the aunt, not the mother, but everyone in this family knew that this man was watching these children and that he had prior charges to doing things to children even younger than her, and she was 13. So the story is really sick, but I wanted to talk about the parallels and the correlation with, dark-skinned black women, because you see it in the media, like Precious and Norbit, like these dark-skinned black overweight characters, and the way that these people are perceived. Now, I know a lot of dark-skinned, bigger girls that are extremely confident and are in very high-loving relationships. I even have a theory that it's easier for below average attractiveness people to find like relationships if they have good self-confidence and good self-esteem, because what could I be using you for? If you're not a Risa Tisa, you're not a plus size black woman that's going to let a man, well, I don't really think she let him take advantage of her. He was lying and it was good. But once she realized, that this wasn't what she thought it was, she left. But let's say some women that would have stayed, that would have allowed that man to, mooch off of her. Not all dark-skinned, heavyweight black women are like that, but I'm not gonna lie, I do know a few, but I just don't want to say all, because I've met a few, dark-skinned, plus-size black girls that are very confident. They take care of themselves. Their hair is long, their skin is long. Their nails are long, their hair is long, their skin is clear, and they have high self-esteem. And then those girls, I've noticed, they put more work into like their jobs and their schools and their degrees and stuff, because they know their looks are not going to get them there. They've learned that early on, and they find ways to keep up with themselves, dressing nice, keeping their hair done, even if they are overweight, and they are confident, and they do have a good self-esteem. And I would never picture them in a situation like this, so I don't want to say all. But I have noticed that, like, if you want to target certain people, men do that whether you're dark skinned or not. Like, if there's a friend group and let's say 2 of the girls are 7s, but 1 of the girls are 5, he'll go for the 5 to make the 7s feel like they're not good enough. And the 5, he'll assume, has lower self-esteem, even though that's not always the case. So I think it's not just, dark skinned girls, but having all 3 at once, like these things that are seen as unattractive, so to speak, even though in other parts of the country, that's literally a beauty standard, having rich skin and having a plus size body, to where some girls get force fed. So it's not that it's not beautiful, you're just in the wrong place, unfortunately. But I do find it interesting. So I do want to show you guys these videos in case you haven't heard the story. So go ahead and sit back and relax, and I'm going to play those clips for you now. Also, another thing I wanted to say quickly is I am aware, I even have like this in my family, unfortunately, where an overweight, dark-skinned, unambiguous black woman will only date MLS men, even if that's not technically dating, they're just like hunching, and will be a baby mama because in their minds, they just want their child to look a certain way. And that attraction is like, They just want someone, that is going to give them the genes that they want their child to have, versus the men, even though, I don't know what MLS men want their children to look like. I'm pretty sure it's different for every person. But that man knew that he was going to impregnate you. And there was a reason why he was attracted to that deal. And it wasn't because he wanted little black kids. It's because he wanted kids for an alternative reason. So even if it's not molestation, sometimes men just want to make baby mamas, like to humble you or to leave a legacy, to be Nick Cannon. I don't know why niggas do what they do, but they're doing it for a reason. I can tell you that. No nigga is in your life for no reason at all, ever. So that was the proposition. And I'm not sure if this woman was completely aware of that, but yeah.
Overweight, dark skinned people in our society have an unspoken stigma. The stigma is that people who fit this class are unworthy, undateable, unlovable, and don't deserve good things. That's just like an unspoken stigma. So when I think about this man who literally approached nothing but overweight, dark skinned women who have multiple children, you start to really understand the psyche behind that, right? He knew that these women were vulnerable, insecure, and he could take advantage of them. He could disrespect them, dishonor them, and ultimately take advantage of their kids. We have to address the bigger issue is why would a woman allow a man in her life who dishonors her and disrespects her? This man has 13 children. 13 children and actively engaged in 7 or 8 active relationships, including relationships with their children. We have to speak about it. And because I am a dark skinned, overweight man who is queer in this society, I know how many people have approached me simply because they thought I was vulnerable, simply because they thought that they could hit a lick on me, simply because they thought I had no confidence, and they thought that that could be a big hit. And I would tell you, I've seen this happen time and time again, not only in my life, but in the life of my girlfriends who will date these pretty boys, these light skinned boys with good hair, nice bodies, who take them through there in the bedroom, and this boy will be so disrespectful to her. But because they feel low self esteem, they allow it. Because they feel insecure, they allow it. Because they don't want to be lonely, they allow it. And I'm so grateful that my mother loved on me, that my mother encouraged me. I was a big kid, I was a chubby kid, and she always let me know that I was handsome and that I should have confidence. My mama always told me, you can be big, you ain't gonna be ugly though. And so she made sure no matter what I did when I left the house, I always made sure I was dressed to impress. I always made sure I had my stuff going, my jewelry going. I always try to be an overachiever in my life. And so for me today, people who date me or who I date, they always say, man, you're so confident. Because I am confident. I'm confident even though I'm a big boy. I think I'm handsome. I think I got a nice smile. I am so proud of what I've accomplished in my life. I am a first generation homeowner. I'm very successful. I have done so many amazing things in my life, and I'm very proud of those things. And those things continue to add to my confidence. But I also think that I'm cute. And so you just can't come in my life and do whatever you want to do in my life. And I wish we would stop allowing this in our society. I wish that dark skinned people would be praised, and I wish that they would be celebrated. I wish we would stop thinking that overweight people do not deserve love. Believe it or not, there's an entire audience of people who are attracted to plus size bodies, not to great or to degrade them, not to disrespect them, but because they genuinely love to be warm with these good old hugs that we can give. And so, that's where my thoughts are. Is that I'm just disappointed in the women who allow these kind of men around, because that's the only way to prevent this. Is you have to be very self-confident, self-assured. You have to be cautious. You have to be aware of what's going on in your life, and you have to make sure that people in your life are not disrespecting you. That's something I stand on. I'm a Scorpio. You don't get to come in my life and disrespect me. I will cut that shit off really quick. All right, anyways, I love y'all. Don't get stuck.
I'm one of them dark skinned people who took offense to all you gotta do is find a family full of dark skinned, insecure dark skinned women. Hey, cause how the fuck did dark skin get in this? Like, what the fuck we do? I see all you gotta do is find a family full of insecure women because they come in light skin form too. Like, I know plenty insecure light skinned women. I know a light skinned woman right now dating a pedophile, had 3 kids by him. It was known that he was a rapist before she laid down and got pregnant with him. She said that girl lying on him. She believed her man. Like, this is not a dark skinned thing. Now, when I watched that video, did I hear all dark skinned women are insecure? No, I did not hear that. But I heard that dark skinned women are insecure, light skinned women are not. That's what I heard. I didn't hear all dark skinned women are insecure, but I heard that the insecure women out there are dark skinned. That's what I heard. Because I feel like dark skin could have been left out. I feel like all you gotta do is find a family of insecure women. Baby, what the fuck we do? Hey, how the fuck we get in it? Hey, what the fuck? Being dark skinned and being fat, I be catching so many strays, like, And I don't want to be a hit dog hollering, but I just want us to call it what it is. Like, insecure is not only for dark skinned women. Insecure is insecure. I know plenty light skinned women who are insecure. So I just feel like that little dark skin line was not needed. And I feel like people gonna be purposely obtuse in my comments and saying, oh, but when you say men, we know not all men. Yes, I know she wasn't talking about all dark-skinned women, but you're excluding everybody else from being insecure. Like, I know plenty small girls who pay to play, who pay for a nigga to be in their face, and baby, Big Mama ain't never paid a nigga shit but a little bit of attention. Hey, come on now. Girl, you know they do. Everything you said, all of that you said, and for those of you that can't read, she said, I would think they would find lighter skinned women to do this too, prey on, since they're stereotyped to be so submissive and easygoing instead of dark skinned women who are strong and loud. Now they trying to switch. Lighter skinned women and non-black women, that's who they really be preying on. And then every now and again it's a dark skin thrown in the mix, and now we gotta wear the crown. No, I'm not taking it. I'm not accepting this. Y'all not putting this on our plate. No.
So this comment says, if she's missing, how is she presumed unalived? Well, Neziah Harris is a 13-year-old child who went missing January 9th of 2024. Neziah Harris has not been seen or heard from for a continuous period of time. Now, from the preliminary hearing, we know that Neziah was active on social media. Her social media accounts are still active and there for us to see. So we know she was on the internet all the time. A 13-year-old child just stopped texting and calling and social media January 9th. Now, also from the preliminary hearing, we know that Jarvis knew that Neziah was pregnant. The last time Neziah was seen was with Jarvis Butts. So you could put 2 and 2 together. A 13-year-old girl ends up pregnant. The last time she was seen was leaving school, and she went to the auto body shop with Jarvis, and his location ends up going to another location, a pond lake, and then he also did not come home that night.
Absolutely right. Neziah's grandmother, and especially her aunt, is responsible for what happened to her. This is Neziah's aunt, Shannon, who she lived with her grandmother. And this is her boyfriend, baby daddy, the monster, Jarvis Butts. I want y'all to listen to this podcast interview that Shannon called into when they were trying to get the word out there about Neziah being missing. And one of her cousins called in and called her out about allowing him to be around kids when she knew what he was about. And she called in, and this is what she had to say.
The one that is her baby daddy that she bought around, that she had around Neziah and all them other kids that's over there. When we found out that he was a pedophile, that's when we put it on blast. When we found out that he was approaching them kids, we put it on blast. We told them to go to the police.
After hearing that, Shannon called in and tried to defend herself, and then she said this.
Whatever Jarvis did, that was him, not on me. At all. At all. And yes, that might be my child's father. Yes, I do got 5 kids. Yes, my youngest is 1. Damn sure not desperate.
Apparently, this man has had a history of this. Like, so did you know about him being on the sex or, you know, any kind of activity about that? Like, had you even heard of anything like that before out of him?
When I met him, when I was 19, he did tell me his background. He did tell me his background. He gave me the decision.
So
if I wanted to pursue a relationship.
So given that his background was his background was child, right? And you still made the decision to talk to him?
1, I was 19, and 2, if society can give you a second chance, why can't someone else give you a second chance as well?
There you have it. Disgusting. Do you think Shannon should be held accountable as well? You are absolutely right. Nazia's grandmother, and especially her aunt, is responsible for what happened to her. This is Nazia's aunt, Shannon, who she lived with her grandmother. And this is her boyfriend, baby daddy, the monster, Jarvis Butts. I want y'all to listen to this podcast interview that Shannon called into when they were trying to get the word out there about Nazia being missing. And one of her cousins called in and called her out about allowing him to be around kids when she knew what he was about. And she called in, and this is what she had to say.
He the one that is her baby daddy that she bought around, that she had around Nazia and all them other kids that's over there. When we found out that he was a that's when we put it on blast. When we do the right thing and tell us where she's at, please.
She texted that creep saying she didn't get her period yet, and that's the last time she was ever heard from alive. A 41-year-old man has been charged with the first-degree murder of a 13-year-old girl after allegedly finding out that she was pregnant with his child. Nazia Harris was last seen in January of 2024 getting off of a school bus in Detroit when she was believed to be around 5 months pregnant. Police say this man, Jarvis Ramon Butts, got into a relationship with Nazia's aunt so that he could get to her. He has around 5 children with the victim's aunt and around 12 or 13 children total with other women. And this is after Jarvis had already spent almost 10 years in prison for the essay of 2 other girls in very similar cases. Which makes you question, why did Nazia's family let him get so close to her knowing what he had already done? He began messaging Nazia in September of 2022 with disturbing text messages that the court just revealed, and I will show in a part 2 of this video. And by November of 2023, there was sufficient evidence that Jarvis knew Nazia was pregnant. And after finding this out, he searched online for pills, abortions, and drinking red antifreeze. He then said he would pick up Nazia from school, and she was never heard after that, and her body has yet to be found.
Nazia Harris unfortunately ended up with these 3 big bad wolves. Now, Shannon to the right also has a twin, and the mother is looking like the triplet. Now, I think it starts with the parenting of the grandmother who had Shannon and her twin, along with her other siblings. But one thing that I wanted to let y'all know, and this was coming from Nazia's older cousins who were saying that Shannon and allegedly her sister were telling Nazia that she was unattractive, that her hair was nappy because she had a different grain of hair. Her hair was thicker and it had more coils to it in comparison to their 2 children. Now, on the attractive scale, they wouldn't even be on the scale, okay, for me, none of them. But to sit here and break her down while knowing you have a pedo in the house around her, grooming her, not only her, but other children, we'll get into Shannon's tea in a minute. You sat up here and told her she was not pretty, that she had ugly, nappy hair, black people hair, and y'all look like this. And if you see any of their children, you'll see that they have sort of looser hair texture, specifically Shannon.
And the colorism in some of the black community, y'all don't care if this man is a pedo. You're like, my baby gonna have some curly hair. And Shannon and her sister also have like a finer, thinner texture. So I'm confused why they went out to seek a man who had looser curls than them. And he's a pedo too. Like, you have to choose. You have to choose. But I'm sure it was all worth it to these 3 women here. And their social medias are still public, honey. So, hello.
Ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell. I don't have Facebook, so I'm going to need somebody to comment and let me know if this is accurate. Somebody commented on one of my other posts and said the cousin posted on Facebook that Auntie Rasputia is still sending Jarvis money. Ain't no way in hell. Is still sending Jarvis money to this day. January 12th, 2025. Still ain't no way in hell. What? That, off that alone, I feel like she should get indicted. I want the worst for her. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want the absolute worst for, ain't no way in hell that's true. Ain't no. No. Please, somebody, if you got Facebook, I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. If you have Facebook, please let me know if y'all also heard this. Because ain't no way in hell. I know you lying to me.
They have now revealed more disturbing text messages between Isaiah Harris and Jarvis Butts where you can see just how much she cared for him and how little he cared for her, and trigger warning, these are very hard to listen to. These are the highlights of their conversation read aloud in court when Isaiah says, "Are we doing it tonight? I'm ready, fresh out the shower. You coming over? I don't have school. Stop messing with people and just be mine. I'm finna go to lunch, love you. I can't stop thinking about you. Are you mad at me? Please don't be mad." His response was, "Are we doing this or not?" She says, "Didn't I make you come faster than ever? Do you ever think how I feel knowing I can't have you to myself, but you have me to yourself, and no, I'm not seeing anybody else, I swear." His response was, "I haven't seen you or talked to you." She said, "Are you going to hit it from the back again?" And he says, "Send me some pics, I want some pee." They also mentioned that she saved his contact under the name Bae for life. She later says, "I didn't sneak out for nobody, I swear. I'm not like other girls, there's no reason for me to lie to you. The meaning is you're mine and mine only. The D and all of you, you're mine and will stay mine." His response was, "I'm trying to F, can I get my D sucked today?" She then said, "I just want your body on mine, I want to lay with you." And he says, "I'm going upstairs." And she says, "Okay, Shan is going upstairs too. Give her some so she can leave you alone. Then come downstairs so I can sit on it real quick." She then said she has an idea to do it with him and another man at the same time, and people are speculating that that man was his business partner, King. She then tells him about her period being late, and then the final message about him picking her up from school before she was never seen again. Let me know what you guys think about this, and I'll keep you updated with any new details.
It's time for families to stop treating the pretty, nice, shy girl who don't got much to say, who don't be in the mix, who everybody think is sneaky and fast. It's time to stop treating her like shit, because she's not sneaky and fast. Somebody has violated her, and she can't tell y'all because y'all treat her like shit. Nazia's family is that kind of family. They treated her like shit because they were jealous and envious of her, and they felt like her quietness was an example of her sneakiness. They feel like because she's not shy and she keeps to herself when it comes to the family and stuff like that, that she's sneaky. No, she's hiding something from y'all, and she don't know how to tell y'all because y'all don't give a fuck about her anyway.
Taking pause at the fact that I said that Jarvis Butts is an attractive man who used his looks to his advantage to prey on women who were not conventionally attractive, who were overweight, who had low self-esteem, and who would see him as the prize. For some reason, people are like, he's not attractive. What do you mean he's attractive? He's not cute. I'm gonna just say this. First of all, yes, he is. I'm not going to argue with you about it. If you don't know, then you don't know. If you don't understand, then you don't understand. I also find it weird how there are people in the comments when I posted the video about a Detroit man who stated that his mother had preyed on Jarvis when Jarvis was a child and had Jarvis's first baby when Jarvis was only 13 and she was a grown woman. There were lots of people in those comment sections that were saying, we don't care about that he's been abused, or nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. Sweetheart, I didn't ask you to care, but it is important because it unfolds why he may have developed these kind of traits of abusing children, because he was abused. People who study this shit says that normally people who grow up to abuse were abused themselves. That's why we care. Calling out the fact that he was allegedly abused when he was a child does not take away from Naziah Harris's case, does not take away from Naziah Harris's story, because at the end of the day, she was a child. But it is also good to know what happened to him when he was a child. But when I start seeing those comments, I'm gonna start blocking y'all ass.
These two cases, man, are eerily similar, man. You got Ayanna Sawyer. She was 16 years old. She got pregnant by her uncle, Jonathan Quills. He was 38 at the time. This was 2018. He was 38. He got her pregnant. She didn't want to terminate the pregnancy, and he didn't want to get outed as a predator, and he didn't want to lose his family in the case. So, similar to what Jarvis Butts did, he lured her somewhere, killed her, threw her body in a dumpster. She got hauled off to a landfill. The body has never been recovered. It's similar. As I'm riding today, I'm like, this case sounds, it's so many, like I done heard this case before, this Naziah Harris case, right? It's like it's nothing new. Because I've been paying attention to this case since last year. I'm like, it always clicked in me like, man, I done heard this story somewhere before. Like, this not no new story I done heard before. And today, this happened just to come down my YouTube feed, this Ayanna Sawyer case. And it's so similar to the Naziah Harris case and Jarvis Butts case. Two guys, they damn near look alike. The two predators, they damn near look alike. To where they found these young girls, took advantage of these young girls, impregnated these young girls, then unalived these young girls, man. But yeah, this, I don't know, man. It's just, we in a weird time, man. We in a weird time.
The most heartbreaking thing about Naziah, and I want to bring attention to this, is the fact that she didn't have parents, and he saw that. He saw her being neglected. He saw her not having support. He saw nobody watching out for her. That's the most predatory thing. So Naziah was vulnerable because her parents were not in her life. She was a young girl. Now, she was from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. Her situation is very similar to my situation. Let me tell you, I was surrounded by a lot of male predators. A lot of male predators. And a lot of my friends were too, that were in the same predicament as I. The reason why we didn't have parents, because they had addiction to hate, right? Some parents just don't want their children at all. Some parents just want a relationship over their children. Some just want drugs or drinks. The guy Jarvis is such a predator because he noticed that she didn't have any parents around. Her family are predators. They put her in that situation. They knew him. They knew how sick in the head he is. And I'm so glad that the judge didn't let him go with calling him mentally impaired. Don't give him no type of excuses. It be so many creeps that be grown men. They'll see you on your own and they'll be watching. But he saw her being neglected. And so he took advantage. Naziah was just in a place of being vulnerable too, just as a growing young girl, not having the family support. She was with these wicked, evil women, with this wicked, evil guy. And just thinking that was love, thinking that he really loved her. And girls that's from the streets, you know, or girls that was placed with their families from the foster system. The foster system failed her too. In Detroit, it's terrible. It's terrible. They'll put you with anybody. It was just how he preyed on her and how all of the people, they knew him. Some women don't check the men that's around them, especially when they benefit off that man. Even if they find that man attractive, come on now, like, let's be real. I've had an experience like that. The part that got me is when Naziah was saying that she needed some pads. When I used to be out here, I didn't have no guardians. Like, it was a time when I didn't have pads, right? And if it wasn't for this girl that stayed in the house that I stayed in, she ended up getting, you know, at a bar. She was young too. She had to be like 18 or something like that. And I was like 14. I was only able to have pads at that time because I had just had her old stuff. Like, I went in her stuff. Like, the house was basically abandoned, but it was like some girl stuff in there, and it was a bunch of old maxi pads, and so I used those. That's how neglected I was. And so this Naziah case really hits different because I get it. It's so many things that went wrong, and even how they were talking in those text messages, you can tell that she was groomed by him to talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to talk about that part. Like, and I think that's the saddest part. And so for all of those women, it's crazy that he found a bunch of women to do these things around and nobody to hold him accountable. And I seen that he was with his shop owner too as well. That guy is suspect too because you saw him with her. But she was so young, taking the school bus, a baby. And so Detroit, this the thing, because I come from that type of background where I didn't have the support, right? When I became an adult, everything that I have comes from me, all my money, everything. But when I got older, this is what I visioned when I was young. I want to help girls that's like me. And one day I will be able to. But listen, this is what I want to say. If you see any young girl that lives with a family member and nobody's watching out for that child, please check on that child, make sure they're okay, buy them stuff, offer them stuff. I know when I get my next job, I'm gonna be more intentional about that, like going to schools and just like, hey, give this to a student that you see struggling. Like, I'm gonna be more intentional about that. And it's a systematic failure. It's a familial failure. I know her mom is on drugs and stuff like that, but I don't know, that kind of just make me mad because it's just like, I get people have addictions, but it's like, you got your baby out here. Like, I don't care. There's no excuses to have. That little girl lost her life. If you see a young girl that's living with somebody that's in your family, you can see that she's neglected, her clothes are older, just talk to her. Her hair is not done. Just help her out. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't got to get too involved, but that would have greatly benefited me and the people like me. Like, I had a friend that was dating somebody that was in his 40s, and we were, at this time, we were like 15. So this was her, like, living with a grown man. But when you don't got no housing, you on the streets, what do you expect? It's only PDF people that be around. I'm just saying that for a girl that's been on the streets. Now, those be the people that are watching you, that are come offering you stuff because they see that you don't have anything. A lot of adults, they see young girls as competition. They don't see them as needing them. Some of these women don't see themselves as elders and to help guide. So even if you don't want to get involved, you know, I'm just saying it for me when I was younger, I didn't need nobody to get involved, but I needed help to where I didn't have to be around abusive people. You know what I'm saying? And the system failed her.
Nobody and you're not really close with your family and stuff like that, especially you as a woman, you really have to keep that shit to yourself, like, and you really just have to thug it out. I don't know what it is, but it's like when you're somebody that's not really like close to your family like that, or you don't have nobody, like, people are going to do one of two things. They're either going to judge you and they're going to feel like you don't know how to love, or you don't, I can't even explain it, but it's like they're either going to judge you and just assume like you have zero idea of what love is because of like your family history and stuff like that, or they are going to take advantage of you. They're going to see that as a sign to take advantage of you immediately, and they're going to try to use the fuck out of you, and they're going to end up hurting you really badly. So it's like, as a woman, if you don't have anybody in your life that you can really just depend on, that you can really just say like is your person, I'm gonna really need y'all to be safe out here and be cautious of who you share that information with, because people can sense that, and like people will literally plot on you just off the strength that you don't have nobody. People who don't have a strong support system are often easier to manipulate. But it's just so crazy to me, and like it really sucks. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it sucks to have that done to you, especially because like it blows me when people have such a small mind, you know what I'm saying? And typically people who do have a strong family background and stuff like that are always small-minded, and it's like because they had a good family life and shit like that, they think everybody else does. And then when they meet people who don't, they don't know how to handle it, and they just kind of like assume the worst. But it's like, truth be told, like, just because somebody doesn't have like a really strong family dynamic, that doesn't mean they don't know what love is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like everybody has their own definition of love, of course, but for me personally, like, not having the strongest family dynamic and growing up with a toxic family taught me everything that I didn't want. And honestly, that shit made me so emotionally intelligent, like, literally. And the craziest thing is a lot of people have the same exact backgrounds as people who don't have strong family dynamics, except that they weren't strong enough to actually cut their family off, and family is everything to them. You know what I'm saying? So like, does it really make you better than me just because you still fuck with your family? You know what I'm saying? Because I know plenty of people whose family have treated them so terribly and still do treat them terribly, but they can't imagine themselves cutting their family off. But it's just like, moral of the story, y'all stay safe. Be very selective about who you share your story with, who you open up to, who you allow in your life, because people plot on people who don't have strong support systems. That's one less thing the narcissist has to do. They don't have to isolate you because you're already isolated. If you don't have nobody and you're not really close with your family and stuff like that, especially you as a woman, you really have to keep that shit to yourself, and you really just have to thug it out. I don't know what it is, but it's like when you're somebody that's not really like close with your family like that, or you don't have nobody, like, people are going to do one of two things. They're either going to judge you and they're going to feel like you don't know how to love, or I can't even explain it, but it's like they're either going to judge you and just assume like you have zero idea of what love is because of like your family history and stuff like that, or they are going to take advantage of you. They're going to see that as a sign to take advantage of you immediately, and they're going to try to use the fuck out of you, and they're going to end up hurting you really badly. So it's like, as a woman, if you don't have anybody in your life that you can really just depend on, that you can really just say like is your person, I'm gonna really need y'all to be safe out here and be cautious of who you share that information with, because people can sense that, and like people will literally plot on you just off the strength that you don't have nobody. People who don't have a strong support system are often easier to manipulate. But it's just so crazy to me, and like it really sucks. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it sucks to have that done to you, especially because like it blows me when people have such a small mind. You know what I'm saying? And typically people who do have a strong family background and stuff like that are always small minded, and it's like because they had a good family life and shit like that, they think everybody else does. And then when they meet people who don't, they don't know how to handle it, and they just kind of like assume the worst. But it's like, truth be told, like, just because somebody doesn't have like a really strong family dynamic, that doesn't mean they don't know what love is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like everybody has their own definition of love, of course, but for me personally, like, not having the strongest family dynamic and growing up with a toxic family taught me everything that I didn't want. And honestly, that shit made me so emotionally intelligent, like, literally. And the craziest thing is a lot of people have the same exact backgrounds as people who don't have strong family dynamics, except that they weren't strong enough to actually cut their family off, and family is everything to them. You know what I'm saying? So like, does it really make you better than me just because you still fuck with your family? You know what I'm saying? Because I know plenty of people whose family have treated them so terribly and still do treat them terribly, but they can't imagine themselves cutting their family off. But it's just like, moral of the story, y'all stay safe. Be very selective about who you share your story with, who you open up to, who you allow in your life, because people plot on people who don't have strong support systems. That's one less thing the narcissist has to do. They don't have to isolate you because you're already isolated. If you don't have nobody and you're not really close with your family and stuff like that, especially you as a woman.
I do not like when I hear women say, oh, men like the fun girls, men like the wild girls, they wife the safe girls and then keep the wild girls who they really want on the side, because, you know, the safe girls who they can marry and build a family with, but the wild girls who they really want. Baby, please don't ever compare yourself to the help. Please don't. Don't ever. See, you see the wild girl, the crazy girls, those are the girls that feed his flesh. The same flesh that our Father told us is going to deceive us, the same flesh that's going to lead us to hell if we allow it. Baby, you feed his soul. You feed his soul. You are what's going to lead him to the promised land. You are his good thing. Please don't ever compare yourself to the help. Please be the wild girl for your man in the bedroom, but that's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that later. But don't compare yourself to the help. We're not doing that.
So I hope that this video was informative. I'm definitely praying for the family and anyone who knew and loved her. And I know there was another situation similar to this as well with another little girl, with another MLS man, like the same situation. So yeah, I would love to know you guys' opinions. Again, try to have a beautiful day. Thank you, and I'll catch you guys next time.